Hi everybody and welcome to another XFM tutorial video. This time I'm going to be taking another look at the deep edit mode. We're going to be doing something that's quite unique to the XFM. That is, we're going to be setting up feedback between all the different operators to make a really aggressive pad sound. Just to begin with, just a quick word about accessibility. I've noticed that on an earlier version of the XFM firmware, in edit mode, knob latch was not a thing. This meant that as soon as you move a knob, you're going to edit your sound. Personally, I prefer it that way. So we're going to turn off knob latch in edit mode. To check whether it's on or off, we hold button number 2, and if the last button is not lit, then knob latch is switched off. But obviously for accessibility purposes, we need a way to check whether knob latch is switched on or off. So the first thing we need to do is turn down the first knob on the top row all the way to the bottom. And then we're going to go into edit mode by holding function, which is button 2, and pressing key number 2, which is edit. So that will bring up our bank and sound selection. So we select our sounds with our steps and our bank with buttons 8 and 9. I've got a blank sound selected here, which is just a sounding tone. We then press OK, which is button 11, and we're into edit mode. We can drop our overlay on. The way to test whether the knob latch is on is if, as we play a sound and we turn that first knob, if it immediately goes silent, then we know knob latch is off. Like that, which it is. If it doesn't do that, then knob latch is on. With it off, it's going to give us immediate feedback, and it also makes it easier to copy envelopes to different operators, as we'll see as we go along. So this is our basic patch as we've got it set up. We've just got operator 1, which is producing a sine wave link to the output. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to route all of the operators to the output. I'm not going to turn them all the way up though, I'm going to turn them halfway up. So by default we're in page 1. The first 4 knobs on the top row are going to be our volumes routing the operators to the output. So I'm just going to turn them all up to about halfway, and you'll hear the volume increase as I do so, because they're all just playing the same pitch. So that's all 4 operators wide to the output. So I'll just draw that in. So next thing I'm going to do is change the pitch of each of the operators so that we can hear the difference. So the 4th, 6th and 8th knob on the second row will change the ratio for operators 2, 3 and 4. So just going to turn them all the way down to the bottom and then a little bit up each time. So one is higher than the next. So I've set our ratios to 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to make each of these into a square wave. So I'm going to send feedback from each operator to itself. So the operator select buttons are buttons number 2 to 6. So we've got operator 1 selected. And on the steps below, the receive amount is steps number 1 to 4. So we've got operator 1 selected with receive from operator 1. So that's going to give us feedback. If we turn our value knob all the way to the bottom, which is knob number 10, our first operator is going to be made into a square wave. So I'm going to select operator 2 and receive 2 and do the same. And the same for the other 2 operators. So now we've made all our operators into square waves. I'm just going to draw that in as a square wave symbol rather than a feedback path because it's going to get a bit complicated otherwise. So now I'm going to detune these operators a little bit. So I'm going to select page 2, which is button number 2. And I'm going to tweak knobs 3, 5, 7 and 9 a little bit each way, just spreading them out a little bit. So now we've got a little bit of detune going. Next thing I'm going to do is edit the envelope for each of these. So I'm going to go back to selecting operator 1. I'm going to stay in page 2. I'm going to go to the attack time, which is step number 9. I'm going to turn that up to about 2/3 of the way up, about 90. Then as we play, that first operator is going to fade in. Then I'm just going to tap the operator 2 button and just give that value knob a little wiggle, and it's going to pop up to 90-ish. And then do that for the other 2 operators. Now all 4 of the operators have the same, well, roughly the same attack. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing, but for the release. So we need to press step number 12, and then give that value knob a little twiddle. And select operator 3, and then 2 and 1. So they all have a gentle fade in and fade out. So that's our sort of, that gives us our pad sound as that gentle sort of sound. I'm just going to drop the octave a bit actually. Let's just press button number 8 a couple of times. It's already a fairly usable kind of pad sound, but this is where things get interesting. We're going to route them into each other. And what we're going to do is we're going to use all the routings available. We've already used our feedback routings. So I'm going to send operator 1 to 2, 3 and 4, 2 to 1, 3 and 4, etc. So I've still got operator 1 selected. I'm going to press the receive button 2 on page 1, which is button number 1. And then I'm going to turn that up. I came with a figure of 45 as being quite good, which is about, well, it's over 2/3 of the way up. And I'm going to press receive button 3 and do the same. And 4. These don't have to be super accurate, but the higher they are, the more aggressive and the pad sound is going to be, and going to tip over into noise more easily. So then I'm going to select operator 2, press receive button 1, turn that to 45. And the same for receive button 3 and 4. It's already getting a bit more aggressive. So now I'm going to do the same thing for operator 3. I'm going to press operator 3 and then receive button 1, turn that to 45. Operator 2 receive. Skip over 3 and go to operator 4 receive. And then exactly the same thing for operator 4. So select operator 4, receive button 1, receive button 2, receive button 3. So that's the basis of this patch, and what we've done is this. I'll just draw all the feedback routings in. So this uses all the possible routing that the XFM has to offer, and as you can hear, it starts to sort of creak and tip over into noise a little bit as the volume of the operators increases. What we can do now if we want to is we can go back to page 1 and we can turn down a few of the operators on the top row if we want to sort of use more of the bottom end of the sound. So there you go, that's basically the patch. That's the theory behind it, so just experiment with that idea, change the ratios and mess around with the amount of feedback and you can create some really interesting stuff. Add a bit of noise LFO from the pattern edit mode and a load of reverb and you got yourself a really cool pad sound. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be making more like this in the future, so please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much for watching.